Hey everybody, it's Dr. Rowe, end of the day. I wanted to do a quick message to you. I've shot back to the office to pick up some things. I'm doing some slide preparation for an event coming up, and had a great conversation with a very dear friend of mine just a little while ago. But actually it triggered a thought in my mind, which is a conversation that has been coming up in recent months, and that is, what's best to go into? Is it best to go into real estate, i.e. property? Is it best to go into the stock market? Is it best to go onto the internet, start a new business? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I think actually the answer is you've got to step back and ask yourself several questions. I'm a massive believer in multiple sources of income. I learned that back when I was in my 20s, which is 30 years ago now. And that's when I started my first business ventures. One of the first things I looked at was selling things. I think at one point I was trying to sell jewelry. I got involved in a network marketing business separately to that. So I was very aware, even as a student, are there other ways I can generate an income before I get to my job? And that's like 25 years ago or more. If you're watching this right now and you're currently stuck in a job, or you found yourself sat in a job thinking, all right, maybe this whole COVID thing's getting me to rethink my future, then I think the main message I want to give you is this: it doesn't have to be one or the other. And that's a really important lesson. You can have multiple sources of income, and those multiple sources of income, and my good friend Jim Francis, who's a dear friend and mentor of mine many, many years ago, explained to me, even though I had an awareness of it. I was looking at property at the time. And hi Jack, nice to see you. Okay, great. Yeah, good. Multiple source of income. And he said to me, look, at the end of the day, you may have one strategy. So we were looking at real estate at the time, and then Jim and I talked about trading the markets as well, which is another great strategy. But even within real estate, if you're watching this right now, as I can just see Jack has. So if you are looking at real estate, there are multiple sources of income within real estate. A lot of people, when I teach them at the ground level, starting out, most of them have got maybe a buy-to-let property, and that's the only thing they're aware of. But the reality is there's 6, 7, 8 key strategies that you can actually move into within property, which produce passive income. So you've then got several sources of income. So through COVID, for example, you want to look at the portfolio, there were certain areas that were just no problems at all. There was no dents in it, no changes. A couple of properties, we had a little bit of a challenge because of the students, but still that was fine. We had to make some adjustments there. And as you look across at any business, any property business, for example, if you're just one-legged, you only have one strategy, and it's in one town, and it's one type of property, and that type of property in that town and that strategy gets hit for whatever reason, whether it's an economic situation or, imagine you've only focused on students in an area. You've got no other exit strategies, and you can't rent out to the general public, which would be a fallback that I would typically use if I needed to. Then if that university closes down, oh my gosh, you, along with anyone else that owns a property in the area, would do the same thing. Nice to see you, Ivan. So whether you're looking at a macro level within a business, i.e. property investing, you kind of need to diversify there. If you step back a little bit and say, right, across property, there's other types of strategy as well. There's buying and selling, there's lease options, etc. That's diversification, multiple source of income. Now, put alongside that, you've created a digital product, right? So that's one of the things that I've done over the years. You create a digital product, you record something, you write something, you video something, and then you put it out to sell. It may only make you 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds. But if you made a £20 profit, and you sold 10 of those in a month, that's 200. If you sold 100 of those in a month, that's 2,000 a month passive income. That's another source of income. Now, let's say you decide to trade the stock market. Now that's more active, and I know you put 20 grand in there and you're making a certain percent per month. You now create another source of income as well. So during times of like COVID, what I've observed in myself, but also in the people around me that have created that security, is although you're aware that there's areas that might be tightening down, you have to then be open to opening up other areas, even widening the highway. So it's all about flow, remember. So if you have a narrow highway and you have multiple sources of income, and one of those highways has the ability to widen, in other words, more strategies within that particular strategy, that might be a good thing to do, because what it does, I can't give you financial advice, remember, that's not intended to be that. I'm talking about overall strategies. If you've got something that's working well and it's a single lane highway, and you say, well, hold on a minute, this is a business model, whatever it is, could be online business, it could be selling widgets, it could be investing in property, whatever it is you do, what if you could widen that highway? What if you could increase the flow, the amount of traffic going down it? And now you run a similar model parallel to that, and then another model parallel to that, another model parallel to that. That will be really profound, because what it allows you to do is increase your income on a broader spectrum. So have a think right now about the type of businesses or strategies you could implement. In simple terms, there's three highways. There's the property highway, there's the stocks, commodities highway, and then there's the business highway. What if you opened a valve in each one of those? Wouldn't that be amazing? If anyone's interested, we have done an amazing podcast with the wonderful Dan Priestley. If you don't know who Dan Priestley is, go look him up. Wrote a book called Key Person of Influence, along with 3 other books, all of them bestsellers. I've known Dan for a long time, and I'm very privileged to be connected with some great people. Jim France is one of the people I spoke to earlier over these last couple of months, and Jim and I stay in touch. He's somebody else I'm going to be bringing on board with Harminder. But Dan Priestley did an amazing interview with us last week, and he talked about the key elements of growing a business to 1 million, growing a business to 10 million turnover a year, and then also what are the businesses of the future. So I would certainly have a look at that. Also, go and look at the online business interview, Building Business Online interview we did on the Growth Tribes podcast with Harminder Tor, who I just seen has jumped on. Big up to Harminder there, and Kyle Barmer. And I think on that particular podcast, one of the things they talked about was, there's literally 200 or 300 ways to make money online. So again, a great interview there as well. Both of those are worth watching, because ultimately it's about multiple sources of income. And if you're sitting here thinking, where do I start? Come and watch those 2 podcasts. Go and listen to those 2 podcasts, because they're cracking. I think they'll be inspirational, and they'll give you some motivation to make that step into diversifying at where you're at right now. Speaking of diversification, I have to diversify home because my daughter has some music to play, and I printed it out for her here at the office, and she wants to have a go before she goes to bed tonight. Who else have I got there? Somebody else has just come on board. growthtribes.com/podcast. Thanks a lot, Harms. That's great. So go have a look there, and you will get a chance to see that. It's Priestley. So it's Dan Priestley. Thanks for asking, Ivan. Go and look at the podcast, Harms. I don't know when it's coming out next, but it should be coming out very shortly. Dan Priestley, Harms is giving it a big thumbs up. Sorry about my itchy nose. I think it should be out now, or it should be out very shortly. That is one of our best interviews we've done. We've done a load of interviews, so that's right up there with the others that are great as well. Another one to watch as well, if you get a chance, is the interview with Ryan Pinnock. That was another fantastic interview as well. So the podcasts are really there to serve everybody, and I feel like we've got a finger on the pulse, Harminder and I, and it's what we call black belt conversations. There's no bullshit, cut to the chase. You're just going to get pure content and a really honest dialogue, and I think we need more of that. So, if anybody's watching this and you can think of some inspirational people that you'd like to hear interviewed, let me know, because when we reach out, we so far had a lot of people respond very positively to coming on board with this as well. Anyway, back to the theme: diversify, diversify, diversify. I'm going to sign off. I shall see you all on my next live.